Well, here is that official word from the Kenya Defence Forces. Earlier we spoke to spokesperson Paul Njuguna, and here's what he had to say about the incident.
This morning at around 5 o'clock in the morning, there was an attempted attack at our camp in Kulbiyow. It was an attempted attack which was repulsed by our troops in Kulbiyow. And since then, now we have started undertaking what we call a pacification operation, which is ongoing. And that is the situation as it is of now. It is an ongoing operation, and it will take time. So after we do the operation, then we'll be able to clarify the situation on the ground.
Well, of course, meanwhile, our reporters on the ground are following developments on this story. Let's get the latest now from CGTN's Abdulaziz Billow. He joins us live from Mogadishu. Abdulaziz, as you may have heard there, the KDF is calling this an attempted attack. Conflicting reports from the KDF and Al-Shabaab. But we know, of course, that Kenya's forces operate in Somalia as part of the African Union's mission there. Have we heard anything official yet from the AMISOM headquarters?
Well, Lindy, you're right. Kenya is a part of the 22,000 strong African Union peacekeeping mission here in Somalia known as AMISOM. But there's been no official word or any statement or any tweet from the AMISOM Somalia account on its Twitter account either. So what happens on such occasions with AMISOM, Lindy, in terms of these attacks? It's AMISOM lets the troop contributing countries to give out any fast information, any fast account information regarding the attack on its forces. Now, in this case, I talked to the spokesperson of the mission here in Somalia on two occasions. One, it was in the early hours of the morning, where he confirmed indeed that the Al-Shabaab had attacked a Kenyan defense position along the border it shares with Somalia. Now, that is part of in the morning. And then shortly before we came to this live cross, the spokesperson confirmed to me indeed that the attack had ended and that the forces who are in Kulbiyow received support. He didn't go into further details as elaborating as to what kind of support. Is it aerial or is it ground forces? So for now, he's still going to give us more information regarding that attack. But then again, the Kenyan spokesperson, as you have said, as we have heard in the news report, said that that was indeed an attempted attack. Now, then again, if we look back at the events that unfolded over the past year in Somalia, a similar Kenyan forces, similar Kenyan base rather in El Ade along the border was also attacked by the Al-Shabaab. Up to date, there is no clear statistics on the number of casualties and the fatalities from that attack. We've had different accounts. On one occasion, we have the president of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, saying that the death toll was almost 200. We have media reports of survivors saying that it was almost 173. And we have the Al-Shabaab on the other end who say that almost 100 soldiers were killed in that attack, Lindy.
And as you say, of course, there have been reports of similar attacks in the past, some of which have had left rather large numbers of casualties. It does suggest that despite AMISOM's efforts, despite Kenya's contribution to the AMISOM force, Al-Shabaab essentially is a group that is still far from being defeated.
Well, Lindy, the attack today on Kulbiyow itself has raised concerns here in Somalia. Experts are saying that it's more of a revenge attack because earlier this week, Kenyan forces attacked the Al-Shabaab in one of their strongholds along the border, a town called Badade. That was a big loss for the Al-Shabaab, although we are receiving reports that the forces who seized that town might have pulled out, and they're calling it a tactical withdrawal at this stage. Now, then again, if we look back at the events unfolded over the past weeks and the past months here in Mogadishu in regards to the Al-Shabaab, we see that the militant groups, guerrilla attack and a deadly explosion, and their tactics cannot be underestimated, Lindy. If we look at a good example is a deadly truck bomb that went off right outside the main entrance of the African Union headquarters here in Mogadishu at a Peace Hotel, that same hotel that hosted the IGAD summit here in 2016. And then again, if we look at the deadly explosion 2 days ago here in Mogadishu, a truck bomb that killed almost 28 people. All these attacks have been claimed by the Al-Shabaab despite the increased security here in Mogadishu. It's more of a show of might that despite claims that the Al-Shabaab was defeated militarily using US drone strikes with the African forces and also the Somali forces, they are still able to launch such brazen attacks at will in the heart of the capital here, Mogadishu. So there are concerns indeed from the government, because the government is saying that once the African Union forces start a troop drawdown in 2018, and we have an example of Uganda that's going to start in October this year, then again the security forces here on the ground are not in any position to thwart or control these areas, and the African Union forces at this time, and it's blaming several reasons, among them an arms embargo on the fact that its troops cannot better handle and better fight the Al-Shabaab. So experts are saying that once AMISOM pulls out in 2018, then if there's no strong security force on the ground, then it means that the Al-Shabaab will re-emerge again and seize more control of south-central Somalia, Lindy.
And of course, as you say, such attacks are a show of force that send a strong message indeed. Thank you very much, Abdulaziz Billow. We'll of course keep in touch with you for further updates on this developing story.